In this video, we've put together 25 clips sent in by our viewers from all sorts of video games. Remember, clips from any driving games are fine, so feel free to send in GTA videos as well. Okay, let's get started. This submitter was rushing home and swerving through traffic when he suddenly lost control. He slid into a rock. The car was a total loss. The rear drive shaft and other important components were irreparably damaged. This submitter was driving his Porsche 918 Spider when he ran over a rock, lost control, and slid off the road. This submitter was overtaking traffic when, all of a sudden, a car entered from a side road right in front of him. This caused a T-bone wreck. The driver of the yellow Bastion was transported to the hospital. This submitter was driving on a highway in Italy when, all of a sudden, a Jaguar approached from behind, sideswiping his car and rolling over. The submitter told us the Jaguar driver blamed him for the accident. Repairs cost $1,500 US. In this clip, we can see a supercar driver failing to yield to our submitter who swerved to the right to avoid it. Unfortunately, he ended up hitting another car and ended up in a ditch. This submitter was speeding along in East Coast, USA. Suddenly, he spotted a wrecked car in the road, but he was going so fast he couldn't stop in time. He ended up hitting the wrecked car at high speed. This submitter was driving fast behind another vehicle when it suddenly stopped in the middle of the road. This submitter was driving his Tesla Model 3 Performance when he encountered a pickup truck in the middle of his lane. He slammed on the brakes, but he rear-ended him anyway. This submitter was driving down a snowy road when a Honda CR-V pulled out in front of him. Because of the icy road conditions, he couldn't stop in time to prevent an accident. This submitter was driving in American Truck Simulator when he heard an alert indicating that his brakes had failed. Fortunately, there was a runaway truck ramp available that he used to stop safely. He was definitely very lucky. This submitter was driving home when a driver ahead of him started brake checking him. When the other driver slammed on the brakes, our submitter swerved to the left, but he lost control and ended up hitting the road barriers. Unfortunately, his car was deemed a total loss. This submitter got brake checked as well for no apparent reason. The driver just stopped in front of him in the middle of the highway. It was snowy and foggy while this submitter was driving when he suddenly lost control and hit some rocks on his right. This incident totaled the car. This submitter was driving his Tesla Model 3 when a driver suddenly swerved into his lane, causing a head-on collision. The submitter suspects the driver was drunk. His car was fine, and after he took some pictures, the BMW driver just left the scene. This submitter was driving an old semi-truck when his brakes stopped working and he rear-ended a Tesla Model S. That had to be pricey. How much do you think the repair bill was? I'll spoil it for you. Fixing this cost $50,000 US. This submitter was driving a bus, but he confesses he wasn't paying much attention to the road ahead. Luckily, he spotted the stopped traffic in time and managed to avoid them. Phew, that was close. This submitter had parked their Tesla when, out of nowhere, a car went flying through the air. It landed a few yards from his car, but it kept sliding, eventually hitting his Tesla. This submitter was cruising with his friend in the Italian mountains. His friend lost control and flipped his car. We hope he was okay after this accident. This submitter sent us a scary Sentry Mode clip from when his car was burglarized. Sentry Mode was able to capture the face of the burglar who stole his MacBook and ran off. This clip is total mayhem. Just look at how many vehicles were involved. Is there any chance they were all texting and driving? I guess we'll never know. Here's another Sentry Mode clip. This submitter's Tesla was parked when a drunk driver tried to park his van between it and another car. As you might imagine, this didn't go very well, and he hit the Tesla a few times. He also managed to hit the other car. I hope this never happens to you in real life. In this clip, a little pileup happened behind the submitter. Unfortunately, his car got hit too. This submitter was lucky enough not to have a head-on collision with a driver going the wrong way. I wonder what was even happening there. This submitter wasn't as lucky as the driver in the previous clip. He was hit head-on by a wrong-way driver. Both cars were badly damaged, and the other driver didn't have insurance. This submitter was driving at night when, all of a sudden, a Mazda exited a side road without checking for traffic. The submitter didn't have time to stop and T-boned the Mazda. Thanks for watching, folks. Don't forget to subscribe.